Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with the Visible Image Artist Trading Card Swap for June 2025. And the topic this month is Summer Love. And I had a look through my stash. I had a thought what I would like to use as a stamp set. I did not want to use the ice creams again, although they are really lovely for the summer. But I have made quite a few cards with that already on my channel, so I thought I'm coming in with the At the Beach stamp set again. I have made a card, and I think it was just a year ago with it, where I have used the shells and I made a sort of beachy scene. I used some blue for the sea and some sand colour for the beach, so I did not want to repeat what I have done. So I thought I'm going to use my favourite summer colours, and they are yellow, orange and pink. I like them as a combination. I think they really shout summer. So I thought I'll make this look a little bit different. I have already gone ahead and I have stamped the starfish, the bigger one. There's two in the set. I've already stamped this on my main card and on the ATC. Both the ATC and the card are a little bit bigger than I want them to be at the end, so I can always cut them down a wee bit. Reason why I already stamped that is I want to use some masking paper and I want to mask them, and I wanted these to be dry, and I also wanted to stamp this in a second generation. So I stamped it off here and then stamped it on my masking sheet. This masking sheet is the Gina K Masking Magic. Sorry, you can't see that because I've got a little piece in there. These are some thin sheets that have got an adhesive, a low-tack adhesive on the back, but you don't need this. You can just use some copy paper and stamp on that. Use some low-tack adhesive, like for example the sticker removable, just to stick it down, or you could hold it down whilst you work with your medium and then you can take it off afterwards, so you don't really need to invest in that, but they are quite handy to have, especially if you put down a lot of ink. So both of these have dried now. I also tapped this off a little bit. It's got a shiny surface, so I didn't want to smear anything, and I can peel this off now to then start working on my background. You can reuse these, by the way, if you put them back on the release paper. I will obviously use them on the ATC and on the other card. So I need to be mindful which way around that goes. Not like that, it's this way around. The starfish reminded me actually a little bit of Patrick Star from SpongeBob. I think it's the way it's sort of, well, for me it's standing now, it's not lying down. So I can press that down. Got a little bit exposed there, but I'm not bothered about that. Oh, by the way, I cut this out with my rounded nail scissors. What happened there? Can you see this? The Masking Magic has got like a line going through, so it's easy to peel off. So I've got one of these legs, it's probably this one here, still has got the backing on it. I just wondered what the blue line there was, so I need to take that off as well. There we go. So I forgot what I meant to say before that, but never mind. So I would like to put some ink down, and I like to do it the lazy way. I've brought up my brayer and I thought I'm going to brayer the ink on. I've got a stencil here on the side as well if I want to add a little bit more of texture, but I thought I'd just do that. So I've got two Elements inks, which is the Lemon Drop and the Pink Elephant. And the orange I have from the Elements range, that I think is more like a muddy orange, so I brought out my Carved Pumpkin. What I do need though, and I quickly can switch the camera off for that, is some scrap paper. So I'm starting with the lightest colour so that I don't have to clean my brayer too much in between. So I'm just inking that up by rolling it over here and then sort of very lightly lifting it off. I think I've got a little bit there from my ink blending brush, like a bristle. I have to take that off because that'll leave some texture on the paper. So I'll just ink it up again. So, and because obviously this starfish is yellow as well, I don't want it to disappear, so I just want a little bit here, a little bit there, and I will repeat the whole process on the bigger card afterwards, but I don't want to do it now because otherwise I would need 2 of these masking sheets. So I'm rolling this off here without picking up that bristle, and as you can see, because I didn't put a lot of pressure on this now, I've got a bit of a halo, but this is what I wanted for the yellow. I didn't want to get too close anyway. So I'm doing the same with the orange, just rolling it over here. And I know this is very juicy, and that's why I wanted the scrap paper as well, just to test it, see how juicy it is. I don't want it that dark. So this time I'm going to apply more pressure. And I want to really get into those corners. And I'm also changing the angle a little bit, because I want these sort of, because you've got lines from the brayer. I've also got a bit of black there, I think, from another project. So I want to have these lines going a different way. But I quite like that as a medium of putting ink down, rather than the sort of smooth ink blending. So, and then coming in with the pink elephant. I can't remember whether that is very juicy. Oh, it is indeed. It's so juicy that I've got some bubbles there. Oh, but it's a lovely colour. So I won't take too much off. Oh, maybe it is too much. But I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, should have taken a bit more off, but I like these things that happen, and I also like this halo that appeared around this starfish. I think that's really nice, and I like a bit of white looking through as well. So then I would like to use some of the other stamps. Yeah, I don't think I need any of the what's it called, a stencil. Yeah, I don't need that. I thought I'll maybe add some texture. So I wanted to use some of the other stamps to add some more pattern in the background. I have chosen this shell here and this shell. I think they're nice enough. On the other card I might use some of the others as well, some of the bigger ones. So it's optional whether you want to stamp in the same inks you have used for the background. That is doable, but I like the crisper VersaFine Clair. And again, I've got the 3 colours here, so the cheerful yellow, summertime orange, and the charming pink. So, and I know some of them, like the VersaFine Clair, will now disappear a little bit in the background, but I'm hoping it gives enough texture to show up a little bit. So I'm inking this up thoroughly, though it doesn't matter too much for the background. Giving it a moment to sit. I'm not coming too close to the starfish because I mustn't forget that this is yellow underneath, but I might ink it up afterwards to give it a different colour. So can you see that one disappears actually quite a bit, but I don't mind that as texture, so I will probably not do any more in the yellow. On the other card, if I'm a bit subtler with the ink on the brayer, I might choose I might get away with using that yellow. So I think I'm then coming in with a pink. Yeah, so that's very juicy. Just checking whether it had something on here. It's always worth stamping it off once just to check that your stamps work okay. So with this one, I'm happy going on the edge, but it might create some gaps if I don't apply enough pressure. If you find that, definitely put some paper underneath, or maybe even a mat, like a silicone mat, but that's okay. So I definitely want to have this overlapping look, because that will then create the interest with the mask afterwards. So I'm coming in with this one again. And I'm just going into that corner again, but I will stamp it that way. So it's really up to you what you want to do. So I think I do this off camera now. I will add some in orange as well, and then I do the reveal by taking the masking sheet off. So I think the ink has dried okay, although it still looks quite wetty on the masking sheet. So be mindful, especially when you take it off, that you don't have any ink on the fingers that then you transfer to somewhere where you don't want them. I've also cut my ATC down by basically, well, cutting it to 2.5 by 3.5 inches, so I had a little bit of a slither all the way around. So I'm peeling it off from the top where I know there's not too much excess. As I said, I want to use that on the other card as well. Need to be a bit mindful not to tear it. I'm trying to anyway. If that's the case, I just have to cut a fresh one, but I think that's okay. There you go. So this is the exposed starfish. And I think I really like the effect that you get by having this halo and the clean starfish within the really busy background. So at first I thought, do I want to colour this in? Do I want to do a bit of ink blending? But I think it takes away from the masking effect. So I decided against that. And all I want to do is actually stamp a sentiment right across. And a visible image, they have done it really cleverly. These sentiments, I find many of them fit nicely across an ATC. So I've chosen the sunshine on your face, sand beneath your feet. Comes with other sentiments that are really useful and I've used before. Life is better at the beach, my happy place, and beach. I thought the beach is really nice as well, but yeah, I go for this one. And I don't want to do it in black. I thought I'd just use the VersaFine Clear Warm Breeze. I find that the sort of turquoise will complement the other colours really nicely without being too harsh. I usually have got a tendency to put the sentiment on the side on an ATC, but because this is so white in the background, I think this is perfect for putting it across. I'm trying not to do it wonkily. Just put it down there. So I'm giving it a few moments because I've got quite a lot of ink underneath, so it needs some time to sort of seep into the paper. There we go. Yeah, I really like that. I might, but only might, once this has dried completely, think about adding some glossy accents that could be nice and not take away from the white background. But I have a think about that off camera, and I'll come back anyway to show you the finished card, and then I could talk you through how I created the glossy accents if I go for it. So I'm just popping in the process of me finishing the main card here, and I wanted to show you this. So my masking paper tore when I pulled it off, and you can see I'm left with some ink there that wasn't dry yet, and I also must have had something on my fingernails, so when I peeled it off I got some pink on here. So I'll just show you how to cheat a little bit on the card. Obviously this would be not nice if you wanted it plain. So I thought I'd just use these two sentiments just on the top there and there, and I thought I'd come in with a beach word, and at first I thought I could cover it by stamping it across, but that doesn't work. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to stamp it across that way, making sure that my ink stains are nicely hidden underneath. So it looks very intentional. You really put a lot of thought in it, but to be honest, you're just hiding your little mistakes. I thought it might be a useful little tip for you. So to finish these cards, obviously this one will have to go on a card base afterwards. So I've cut this down now to 4 by 5 7/8. But to finish these off, I want to show you two products. I will use the glossy accents that I had talked about on the ATC, and then there's stickles on this one, just to show you something different. So what this is, I'm not even sure what they call it. They call it a clear dimensional medium. When I first got introduced to glossy accents, I actually was into jewellery making, and it was used as a medium to glue down cards or cardstock on some pendant bases or earrings or whatever. And this is how I first knew it. But it is basically it is a sort of glue that dries, clear, and then gives you this sort of shiny look. So what you do with it, you can see I always try my bottle and make sure I don't have any clogs at the top. So, and then I'll just move this a little bit closer and hope I don't go off camera. I'm tracing the star just with a medium. You can use a tool as well, but I think this is fine just doing it like this. It comes on quite thick. I don't want to turn it around. I will probably get a tool out in a moment just to move it about a little bit, and I hope you can see enough. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. I'm not quite sure whether the angle is the best. So if you do use glossy accents, by the way, it's best to have the VersaFine Clear because that's not water reactive. I hope you can see what I've been doing. So I can, if I need to manipulate it a little bit, can use just a tool like that. I hope I don't have any ink on that. Just getting doubts. I'm not too worried whether I stay within the halo or go over the edge a little bit, but I want to make sure that the shape is nice. Sometimes you've got bubbles, you can pop them a little bit. You can also use a toothpick if you don't have a shape like that. So when I'm happy with the outer shape, and I am, just leave it like this, I go in and I just fill it from the inside. And it does level itself. What I have not taken into account is that my ATC is bent a little bit because of the ink I have applied. But what I can do is put some weights on the top and the bottom later. Just put my glue bottle in this side here and the ink. So I can just fill this in now. If I find I've got enough on it already, I can use again my tool just to move this to the inside so not to have too much on. And this takes, especially the thick as I have applied it now, about 24 hours to dry. It is a bit milky at the moment, so I've got some bubbles there, and if you're very careful you can pop those with a lighter. So I'm always trying to be very mindful not to set the card alight. So mine actually doesn't show a flame, but the heat will come out. So I can hear that, and I can pop those. Trying to overdo it, but can also pop these, but basically hitting them, and hopefully they come to the top. If there are some bubbles, I don't mind it too much, especially if I've got a textured motif like I have here. Or I can move them over a little bit and make them disappear in the sentiment. So I try to lift it up a little bit for you to see. Hope the camera focuses on it. I've still got some bubbles there. I think I will just use the lighter just once more. Yeah, but don't overdo it with a lighter, and be very, very mindful of what you do. So that's that one. I'm just cleaning off the nib here and placing that back on. So, and the stickles. That is just basically a glitter glue. I love stickles on everything and anything really. This one is the diamond, which is a shiny one, but it's got a sort of a warmer texture. I've got another one that doesn't have, any gold in it. And again, I've put my tool and my glue here on the side. So, oh, sorry, you can't see that. So again, I'm testing the bottle, making sure this is flowing nicely, but it's not as thin as this as glossy accents. So when I do apply it, I need to manipulate it a little bit more. But again, I'm tracing the star All the starfish here. Applying in the middle, but it doesn't level itself, so I definitely need to do that myself now. Being generous there with the glue, and then I'm coming in with my tool again. I will actually use a slightly bigger one if I have it. This one's a little bit bigger, because what the tool does on the glossy accents, it does leave a little bit of a trace, like, you know, shows the grooves where you moved it about. But this one will dry really flat if you don't apply it too thick, and basically leaves behind the glitter with a tiny bit of the glue visible. So whatever is not visible now, the sentiment, that will show up a little bit again, slightly hidden by the glitter, but the glue won't be visible much. Again, I will just follow the shape there, and if I find I don't have enough, I can apply a little bit more. I'll just show you that. Can you see I've got the sort of grooves there, but it is not too bad, but I need a little bit more there. Give it a bit of a shake until you feel like it's coming into the nozzle, and then you can just lightly press. So again, I'm leaving that to dry. This is not likely to run away. This one, as I said, you need to be very mindful. I think it's contained okay, but I will put a weight on this now. So I will just leave this here, and I will just record the outro tomorrow when these are dry and finished. It is the next day, and my ATC and card have dried really nicely. So that's the finish on the ATC. I think this is really lovely. I've still got a bubble there, but I'm okay with that. I got a bit panicky because of the liquid. Both the card and the ATC were a bit warped, but this actually has flattened out really nicely. That wasn't too bad, but once I stuck it down, it was okay. So I really like the look of that. A little tip though, when I put this into the card to send away, I always put either a little wrapper bag around it or a little film on top, just in case this is sort of sticky, because I don't want this to stick to the card. It's not sticky, but especially with it being warm in the summer, you might have some sort of residue sticking to the paper of the card. So I think this is really cool. And this one, I should have thought about it a little bit more. I might have mentioned it yesterday. Obviously the beach is quite covered by the glitter, but you can still make it out there. And I think this is also a cool look, especially if you don't have the glossy accents. Yeah, I think both are really cheerful and proper summer love cards. And I hope you like these too. And if you do, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.